I've been listening to Brendan Burchard's High Performance Habits book, and well, it's full of lots of great content. And yet there's one thing that was just mentioned as an aside like 2 times, at least so far in going through it. And this one little thing mentioned as an aside really jumped out at me as, hey, like every single copywriter, marketer, influencer, persuader, salesperson, entrepreneur should know this one lesson. And it's such a simple lesson, and yet it is so powerful if you get it. Like if you get it and you apply it. And it's about storytelling and story selling. It's about the stories that we can use to influence people to take specific actions. And importantly, like even before we get to the influence thing, the stories that we can use to connect with people that they're going to have feelings around and that they're going to be interested in and that they're going to engage with and that they're going to like feel connected with us because we tell these stories. And specifically, Brennan took all of storytelling in all of human history for sales and marketing, but also for any kind of storytelling across the board. And he said, hey, really what it comes down to, humans tell 2 types of stories. Humans tell 2 types of stories. And these are the 2 human stories. And that's what we're going to cover in today's episode. These are the proven direct response marketing, copywriting, and entrepreneurship success strategies you can use today to write your own ticket and create the life you want. I am Roy Furr, and this is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Now, here's today's breakthrough. Okay, so what are these 2 human stories? What are the 2 stories that we consistently tell each other? What are the 2 stories that form the foundation of like all of our communication and storytelling and conveying meaning? Story number 1 is struggle. We are up against difficult odds. We're up against challenges and we are struggling. Story number 2 is progress. We make progress. We make progress. And if you take like all the fiction storytelling genres, if you take like, oh, there's the hero's journey stories over here, there's action adventure, there's romance, there's mystery stories, there's whatever. All of them are a reflection of struggle and progress, struggle and progress, struggle and progress. And arguably, it's kind of the same story. It's kind of connected because we're always moving away from something and towards something. We're moving away from the bad, the negative, from hell to the good, the positive, to heaven, right? Like we're moving away from the bad towards the good. And either we're making progress along that path or we're struggling. We're not making the progress that we want. And these stories, it's all part of that same journey. And it actually becomes way more interesting when it doesn't go smoothly. So if somebody is making smooth progress the whole way through and there's no struggle, that's not a very interesting story. But if someone is making progress and then suddenly there's conflict, there's struggle, there's an inability to make the progress that they want to make, like that becomes way more interesting. Or alternatively, somebody is struggling. Well, if they struggle the whole way and they just keep struggling, that's not that compelling of a story. And so you have to feel that there is progress made. So it's struggle, progress, struggle, progress, struggle, progress. and you tell these stories and they are interesting because there is struggle and because there is progress. And so if you're telling a personal story, if you're telling a brand story, if you're telling a product invention story, if you're telling a customer case study story, if you're telling any kind of story, if there's struggle and progress, it will be the most interesting. If things don't go smoothly, but in the end, the result that is desired is the result that is received, then it's going to be an interesting story. And so you come up with all these different stories and you say like how is struggle presented in this story? How is progress presented in this story? What is the internal struggle and the external struggle? What is the internal progress and the external progress? Like, what are those things? And how do they reflect with whatever story it is that I want to tell? And honestly, like these things, it's new words for me, but this is so consistent with what I've taught before in high velocity copywriting and the story selling masterclass and like my emotional direct response copywriting training. That so take the high velocity copywriting for example. In there, I teach 3 big idea types. I teach that all great advertising, copywriting, marketing, selling messages are based on one of these 3 big idea types. And one is an urgent problem. I have a problem that needs to get solved. And frankly, that's like the most widespread advertising message that's put out there. I have this problem. I want to solve it because people buy solutions to problems. People buy relief from pain, right? And so there's this urgent problem, this urgent pain that I need to have solved. Well, what is that? That's struggle, right? And the way that develops as you go through the marketing message is you get to progress past the struggle. And the second big idea type that I teach in high velocity copywriting is a 10x opportunity. That's like a bigger opportunity than what they're doing now or what they have access to before. It's like introducing them to this big outcome that they could have be possible in their life. Well, what is that besides progress beyond where you are now? It's like seeing the light on the hill and wanting to get there, wanting to progress on your journey towards that. And that progress is the story behind a 10x opportunity. And of course, there's going to be some struggle along the way, but that progress is the focus of that big idea type. And then the third big idea type that I talk about in high velocity copywriting is an imminent prediction. So we had urgent problem, a 10x opportunity, and an imminent prediction. And what is an imminent prediction? Well, something is going to happen and it is going to create struggle or it's going to create an opportunity for progress. It's going to create struggle, it's going to create an urgent problem, or it's going to create a 10x opportunity for progress. And so essentially what you're doing is you're laying out the prediction and then you're turning into that struggle story or into that progress story. And you're just taking that through to the point where your product or service is the solution that they need. Right. And like these stories, they are in everything. And like the story selling masterclass, I give over a dozen different story templates in there, but so much of it breaks down to what is the current, just like a hero's journey and a romance and a mystery and action adventure, like all these different stories can still be boiled down to struggle and progress. The different templates in the story selling masterclass, the different story arcs that are presented there, they really can be boiled down to struggle and progress. And like it's super powerful to think about these things and how they play out in your storytelling and specifically your story selling, because as you present the struggle, and it's an external struggle and an internal struggle, and there's like emotions involved with that struggle, and then you present the progress that's made to overcome the struggle, and there's an external markers of progress and internal markers of progress and the growth that comes from that. That's where like the emotion of storytelling comes from. The emotion comes from the motion that happens externally and internally of dealing with struggle, overcoming struggle, making progress, like achieving that progress that was desired when you thought you couldn't get it. And, you know, that's why for me, like when Brendan said these in his High Performance Habits book, it just like, well, I said it jumped off the page, except for I'm listening to the audiobook, so you can't jump off the page, right? But it jumped off the page at me and jumped out, and I said like, ooh, that's really good stuff. And so if you think about all stories being a manifestation, an expression of struggle and progress and struggle and progress, and what's the human experience of that, you will become a better storyteller. And if you're in marketing, copywriting, sales, business building, you'll become a better story seller. And so think about that struggle and progress, and how are those presented in whatever story you're telling from your own perspective, telling your own story, or talking about customers and their experience, etc. And then how, this is important, how is your product or service the tool that they use to transition from struggle to progress? So let me know in the comments with this episode or with a review. Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how valuable you found this lesson and why. What are your action items? What are your takeaways? How are you going to use this in the next piece of copy, the next marketing you create, the next advertising you write? How are you going to use this going forward? Leave that in the comments. Also tap that like button before you go so you get more content like this delivered to you. And so the magical algorithms of the internet know to share this with more people like you who will find it valuable. You can certainly share it with folks directly and subscribe before you go. You can subscribe here. You can also go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com, get my daily emails Monday through Friday, including episode notifications and more exclusive content for email subscribers. I'm Roy Furr. This is Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. I always aim for 10 out of 10 value. I hope I've delivered it here, and I will catch you again in the next episode. See you soon. Bye. Thank you once again for tuning in to this daily episode of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Remember, check out the links with this episode for even more value. Now make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, and engage in every way you can to keep this show going and growing and delivering daily value to you. I'll catch you soon for your next big breakthrough.